Splitgate 2 has an uphill battle if it's going to try to capture any part of the FPS market in 2025's gaming landscape. But before the new public alpha drop, the developers at Splitgate 2 decided to do like a little closed play session for certain content creators that they wanted to work with, and for some reason they thought Luke and I were perfect candidates. Now, for full transparency, while this video is sponsored by Splitgate 2, we are given complete creative control and freedom over every aspect of this video. The only requirement is that we do a call to action letting people know that there's a Splitgate 2 public alpha that people can participate in, which we'll go into all the details of that at the end of the video. So while they're paying us that bag to make a video dedicated on Splitgate 2, all of the opinions in the video do get to be our own true opinions about the game. And since Luke and I both played a bit of Splitgate 1 back in the day, we were kind of intrigued to see what this new game would be like. So for our play session experience, a little look behind the scenes as to what it's like in one of these things, we had to be online ready to go at 10 a.m. and this thing was gonna run till 2 p.m. So we had to be ready for the long haul. I did play a few games way back when they did another closed alpha where they let some creators play, but that was months ago and I really didn't have like a full idea as to what the game would be like. So I was curious what this would be like. Fortunately, when we got in where all of the other content creators were, it was like a big voice chat with 50 plus people. We were allowed to break off and then just jump into the game, and we saw that Arash and Kevin Kulex from back in the Halo days when we made Halo videos were also there. So we got in a call with them, and we had the squad of 4 of us: me, Rocket Elijah, Rocket Luke, Arash, Kevin Kulex, and this would be the team that we would dominate the next 4 hours with. So they made a special post like listing out all of the game type rotations that would be going during this playtest. So the first one was just like a regular arena playtest for players to kind of just like get in and get started. And in our first match, where we're literally just trying to figure out what exactly this game is, we were put up against the Act Man and his team. So we were pretty hyped. This was like the closest we'd ever get to an actual Act Man collab video. I think Luke was having fun though.
For full context, I was at HCS Kansas City and I met the Act Man at this rooftop bar. And he was familiar with Rocket Love, which I thought was pretty cool. So we talked for like an hour, maybe 2 hours, you know, at the bar. And then after all of that, he says, "Goodbye, Elijah."
Dude, you're never gonna beat those allegations that you're Luke the Notable either.
Oh my god. Yeah, at least he didn't call me Luke the Notable.
Yeah, you got that going for you. This game was Domination, and you know, it was interesting to say the least. So firstly, we had to kind of figure out how the game actually worked, and it was different from the first Splitgate game. There are these like 3 characters that you can choose between, which are all cosmetic differences. I mean, there's equipments that you can select in your class function. As far as the characters themselves go, there's no real differences between which class you choose when it comes to things like health and whatnot. It is kind of interesting though how depending on which class you choose, there is like a buff though that can affect your entire team. You can diversify your team to get more buffs, a little bonus buff if you all have like different characters represented, which kind of adds a little bit of an extra layer to a game like this, which is a class-based shooter. And everything was unlocked fortunately for the playtest, but this isn't like Call of Duty Domination. Things are actually in like round bases. So things felt like they were constantly moving along. It wasn't like a long drawn out game of domination. It was like round to round, head to head, you know, kind of shorter rounds. It was interesting. The next game we played was called Hot Zone, and we were up against a different team this time. Now, in general, whenever it comes to like a first person shooter, I usually have trouble like picking up figuring out what I'm supposed to do in like new game types. So I have probably a little bit of a longer learning curve than a lot of like more competitive focused FPS players. Like I'm a campaign kid at heart, but I do like to jump on multiplayer and dabble a little bit. So Hot Zone was kind of a different angle, but I think Luke picked things up a little bit quicker than I was able to figure out what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, Hot Zone was actually my favorite during the whole Splitgate 2 event. So the way Hot Zone worked was that there was a random capture point that spawns on the map, and then you have to go capture it before the other team, and you get 1 point. You need to capture 2 points to win a round, and then you need to win 3 rounds to win the overall game. And this was really fast paced, and I actually enjoyed this. I can see this working as a ranked mode even. This was really fun. I had a lot of fun playing this, and it felt like cool doing callouts and working with your team in this.
Okay, then we played this game type called Firecracker, which essentially was like a version of Search and Destroy, but instead of like 1 life eliminations, you get a respawn delay. We were on a really small map. I don't think we really vibed with this game type as much, and I think part of it was like the map that we happened to get for this mode. And then there was a mode called Split Ball, where we have to like go and take these balls and plant them at our base and steal balls from other people's bases and try to get enough points to end the round and win. It was kind of fun. Nice to have something like a little less shooty focused and a little more like objective focused. I do have to say at this time, it was kind of nice to see that there was a lot of variety in the arena game types that were featured in this game. I remember the first Splitgate actually having quite a lot of different game types and features, which I think if anything is going to be key in letting Splitgate stand out against other first-person shooters out there where things kind of get repetitive after a while. You have to have a lot of variety to keep up with, you know, all of the different FPSs that are out there nowadays. While having like a core foundation for competitive play is important, of course, having an accessible way to have casual players get into the game is also key, I think. And a big thing that a lot of these first-person shooter games, I think, forget about. It's kind of like why Infection was such a popular playlist in Halo back in the day. Remember Invasion and Halo Reach? Like, those things were cool because they would give you like a little break from the regular arena gameplay. After about an hour of arena playlist, the playlist would update again and change to something called Multi-Team Portal Warfare. This one was a bit interesting, and I don't know if I fully wrap my head around the why behind this game type, but it was essentially a big team battle type mode where instead of 2 teams fighting against each other, there's 3 teams in an 8v8v8 mode. I don't know what I was doing here. This one felt really chaotic. It was cool because at least for a little while, I felt like I could turn off my brain and not feel like I had to try as hard to contribute to a team. Because I feel like whenever I play massive games that have more than like 8 people to a team, my contributions usually don't really move the needle as much. There's only one map showcased here, and you know, it's cool. You can use portals to traverse the map quickly, but it felt very open, and it didn't feel to me as engaging as maybe like big team battle. Something that could be changed with maybe a different map design, or if there was more variety in the maps. We only got to play this one map for it. I wonder if vehicles would have made this a better experience or if that would break things up worse. I don't know.
But personally for me, as someone who enjoys games that have like big battlefields, I thought this game mode was really fun, and there was a lot of action going on when you were looking for it, of course. And with the multi-team aspect, there was a lot of opportunities to third party like the other 2 teams when they were fighting, making it more of like a tactical decision to when to join the fight. You know, joining the fight at the right time can be beneficial.
But after the whole multi-team game session, then at 1:00 p.m., this is like 3 hours into our play session, the Chaos playlist started, and that was an experience. So Chaos is like different. You get like super speed, and there's like low gravity, so you're just like flinging yourself across. And honestly, this was the most fun I had during the entire play session. This felt straight up like OG Halo 3, Halo 2 custom games where you would just like mess with the modifiers and just throw yourself however you wanted. But tying that together with objectives kind of made for a really interesting game experience. This was like the most locked in I think I was the entire play session. Like, we were like in this one to win this one. And then the final playlist update would happen, which was interesting. Instead of doing like 4v4, they started up a 2v2v2v2 game mode. So our team had to disband after, you know, just crushing it in chaos mode. Luke and I split up from Arash and Kevin, but we match made and we ended up getting into the same game with them. We had a close match where we were doing really good in one of the games, and then the second game, I don't think it was as close, but you definitely want to stick together with your teammate. And I feel like this game mode could be really fun if you coordinate with like one really good like partner and like stick together and work together to like cover and trade kills and whatnot. We even were playing with the CEO of 1047 Games, Mr. Splitgate himself. It was kind of cool. Then after that, there was like this whole Q&A session where they wanted the feedback from us if we wanted to ask questions or, you know, bring up concerns about the game. Honestly, a lot of the things I was kind of thinking about were already probably said during this like call better than what I felt like I could articulate. Though I also have to say, some of the people who were giving feedback, I felt like I completely disagreed with some of their takes on like what was important for the game or like what they thought the future of Splitgate could look like. I didn't want to say anything during that because I'm not going to like just come in here and be like, yeah, your criticism's not valid, because I mean, that's not fair. It's their opinion. But I'm never really a fan of like big like feedback sessions when there's like a bunch of people in there, because I always feel like it's just a handful of people who get to say their opinion, and then sometimes the opinion's not even relevant. But that's just like my personal opinion when it comes to feedback sessions. Fortunately, after this though, the team did circle back with, I think, most of the creators giving them like a little survey to fill out and where we could type up our thoughts, which I think is a really good way of handling that. One thing I did notice about Splitgate 2 though is that it seems like a lot of the maps are more competitively designed, or designed in a way like that's much more intentional than before. I know like one of the big criticisms Splitgate 1 got were the portals themselves, which is kind of goofy because it's core to Splitgate. Obviously, that's what makes Splitgate stand out. And I think with the new map designs in Splitgate 2, it definitely seems like the locations of walls that you can specifically put portals on is at least like more focused than before. Like in Splitgate 1, you could put like a portal on a ton of walls at different heights and get, you know, cool angles to set up and shoot. This one definitely feels like there was a lot of like intentional thought, like walls are only placed in positions where they want people to put portals and stuff. It does make it where you can like maybe learn the maps quicker and like what type of portals and angles people will set up against you. Kind of liked the creative freedom more in Splitgate 1 of being able to come up with some like crazy ideas to set up portals and like have some weird angle or something. But I think that's gonna be preference. I think competitive players are gonna like the fact that the whole portal system with how many walls are actually portable, portalable. I don't know what the right word for that would be. From a more like casual player standpoint, I did have fun kind of messing around with there being like huge walls that you could just like put a portal anywhere on. I understand why they probably changed it though.
Another big change with the portals is also the way you close other people's portals. In Splitgate 1, you remember you threw a grenade at the enemy portals and they would close. In this one, you just put your portal over another player's portal and that will close it. So they got rid of the, portal grenade or whatever you want to call it, which, I haven't played enough to really know how that's going to affect like the overall like gameplay with the portals. But I do miss the grenades a little bit. I don't know. I
think overall things just felt a whole lot faster paced with Splitgate 2 compared to Splitgate 1.
They definitely felt more focused overall, like map design, gameplay, weapons, everything was definitely way more focused and way more thought put into.
Though I do have to say a lot of like the aesthetic of the maps is very like, I don't know how to, like, esports inspired, maybe? Is that the right word for it? I just remember, I know because Splitgate 1's development was over such a long period of time, a lot of iterations of the game. So a lot of the map designs were not necessarily consistent with one another. Like some of the aesthetics would be like, sports arena themed, and other ones would be like some more esoteric ruin type theme to it or something. This one definitely felt more like it was consistent across the board, but I kind of also like the variety of the first one. So I'm curious to see like what other maps get revealed over time, maybe.
Right, I would like to see some old maps being brought back too. That would be actually kind of cool.
Absolutely. There was a couple like maps from Splitgate 1 that I really did like the design of, that it would be nice to see them return. Now, the big question with Splitgate 2 though is definitely how they are going to stand out in like today's gaming landscape. Obviously, during the time that Splitgate 1 released on console, which is when it saw its biggest boom of success, was like during a time where Halo Infinite was delayed. It came out months before. It was during a time where there wasn't really a lot going on with the first-person shooter genre, and a lot of people were just like down to try something new. And they stuck around for a while, and then I think just like interest over time just kind of dropped. Now, I'm curious what they're going to do different with Splitgate 2 to try to stand out more, and how they're going to be able to retain players and keep their interest. I mean, we've seen other first-person shooter games not be successful after launching and trying to do a live service model. So, I hope that, there could be lessons learned from what other studios have done wrong, and they could be applied to Splitgate 2, because obviously the team wants the game to be successful. I do think when it comes to new FPS games releasing, it's always like a feature arms race. And some games, have a lot of features going on, a lot of like different ways to play. And Splitgate 1, to be fair, had a lot going for it. And now, of course, I'd always love to see a game like this, implement something bigger, like a campaign, a co-op campaign, just so feature to feature, it's on par with what you would expect from other games that are similar. I mean, I'm not expecting a campaign to come out of Splitgate 2, though, I do think a campaign would be insane with the mechanics of using portals and shooting. But at least for now, I don't think it's in the cards. But I would love to see something like that. but I don't know. Dude, I just realized I have my mic on and my other mic on. I'm just going to ride with it.
Double mic'd up.
Double mic'd up. Okay, so Splitgate 2's open alpha is out now on PC through Steam and console crossplay on Xbox Series X and S and on PlayStation 5. The full release will include previous generation consoles as well. So if you're still playing on PS4 and Xbox One, you're good to go. And also the open alpha is available from February 27th to March 2nd. If you want to try the game yourself, Twitch drops are also going to be available all weekend, and 1047 Games will be gifting 1,047 subs on Twitch through the open alpha. So if you guys are interested, check out Splitgate 2. Thank you for them including us in this. It's a cool way to support our channel, and we can continue to make content and not have to worry about like the ins and outs of monetizing videos, when every once in a while we can kind of do a deep dive on a game we're already interested in, but still having that creative freedom is always really nice. It feels, you know, it feels cool to just kind of be selected to like look into something and then make a video about it. And that was a nice ride. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you guys next time with some more stuff. Bye guys.
Bye.